We have here the Amazon Kindle Oasis versus the Barnes & Noble Glowlight Plus.
These are both the latest offerings from each respective brand.
Right, so I guess the main features that we really want to get across is the Barnes & Noble e-reader's waterproof, and it has e-Encarta, which is the same resolution as the Kindle Oasis. But let's take a look at some of the hardware that makes these things really different.
We'll start with the Barnes & Noble. It is very, very different. Barnes & Noble has always been really different. There's this kitchen tile kind of material that surrounds the device. You also have a hardware-driven soft touch button. Everything is flush with the bezel. You have kind of two bezels here. It's a wraparound, kind of this bronze aluminum looking backing. You also have a Nook logo that is surrounded by a nice border and a USB port on the bottom. You have a power button on the left as well. The Kindle, we're going to put this aside because the Kindle's super different. The Kindle Oasis has a magnet on the back. You can see there's battery alerts because we have two batteries. We have the battery in the case that's included and the battery in the Kindle. Kindle is an asymmetrical design, which is actually complemented by the case. So when they go together, they snap together like so, and they have shared battery life. So you can see the cover's at 1, the Kindle's at 74. We also have sleep. The cover is leather on the outside and this nice kind of velvet felt on the inside.
Barnes & Noble has a thing called readouts, which people may not be aware of. It's basically a system where Barnes & Noble sort of writes these blog posts, give you a chance to have interviews with authors. There are like genres that you can pick, so you can opt in for all of this or only kind of look at, say, books, ideas, science and tech, fiction, and then say mysteries and thrillers, and all of this will be included here.
Gonna look at some books. Now, because these two devices are not by the same manufacturer, it's going to be hard to match them font for font, but we'll do our best to see what kind of, so we'll both stick on Baskerville because it seems both of these e-readers run that. So you have some font options here. You can change the font size, same as on the Kindle. Everything changes live. You can change the margins, the line spacing, same with the Kindle. You can change spacing, margins, everything changes live in the background, even the orientation to landscape. And Barnes & Noble has publisher default, so if you've changed things too much and you don't know what it should look like, publisher's defaults will change it back to the optimum setting. So these are about the same. This is the same font size. This is about the closest you'll get to them being exactly the same. So page turns are pretty much exactly the same speed. Most e-readers are pretty much the same speed nowadays, so we don't have to do too many speed tests. So what you can do on both of these is long press. On the Kindle, we have a very nice feature called translation. This is the only device to do this. You can change any language to any language on the drop-down menu, even something as complex as Chinese. You can also long press to go to the keyboard, and we'll show you what the two keyboards look like. Add a note. So these are the two keyboards. You see that Barnes & Noble actually sends you to a separate screen, whereas Amazon's doing it on the same screen. They both have pretty good responsiveness, and they're both laid out well.
So Amazon has predictive text, which is pretty useful.
Because that's what I wanted to type, right?
Yeah.
And we'll save that and save that. You see Barnes & Noble has to go back to the main screen. There's also different settings like share, add bookmark. You can do the same thing on Amazon. You can highlight, open dictionary. You can click the top right corner to add a bookmark and location. So they're very varied options.
Sometimes when you are owning an e-reader, whether it's the Oasis or the Glowlight, from time to time you may encounter a PDF file, whether it's manga, whether it's technical document, maybe something that you have for your class. We're going to look at the PDF experience on both of these.
So we'll go to the same page, which is page 12, or one away from it. So you can see the page turns are pretty much identical in terms of speed, and we
that's
both just loaded
fairly
this.
robust.
On the left, we have the Kindle Oasis, and we'll do a pinch and zoom. You see you have a mini map on the top left corner. It lets you know where you are on the page. We'll just leave it right there. On the Barnes & Noble, try to pinch and zoom. Has no functionality for pinch and zoom. We'll try a double tap. Has no functionality for double tap, so we have to tap in the middle and see what kind of settings we have. We have jump to page, find to book, find in book, add bookmark, and we have contents with highlights and notes. So we'll try a long press. So you can add notes on the PDF.
Useful.
Yeah.
But despite that, you can't
change anything.
Yeah.
Whereas we can pinch and zoom on here, and we can still long press and do highlights, notes, shares, search in books, or we can even double tap out, box some text, box over here, and we have all the same functionality, Wikipedia translation, that we do in anything, but with the Amazon we can pinch and zoom, whereas on the Barnes & Noble we can only change pages. So these are with the lights on 100% on both of these devices. At initial look, the Barnes & Noble on the right here, Kindle Oasis on the left, the Barnes & Noble is much grayer, much darker, and has a lot of imperfections. It's overexposed down here. I've just exited the book because I pressed the N button on the bezel, and we have a lot of light intensity and dark spots up here. You can even count the LEDs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there, because you can see the bursts of light. The Kindle Oasis is actually pretty consistent end to end.
That's because for one reason it's using 10 LED lights.
Right. So what we can do here is click the top bar and we can adjust the light like so. So it gets really dark as you go down into the light ranges, whereas the Kindle stays a little bit brighter. So what you want to do is just kind of find that even light level. So you can see the ranges here.
If you live in the US, Nook is pretty good. Outside the US, the Kindle is really good. All in all, I think that the Oasis handles PDF files a lot better. Their shopping system's a little bit more robust. Goodreads, I think, is a game changer because it allows you to join virtual book clubs, talk about favorite books amongst friends and things like that. You can do that right on a device. You don't have to use the web browsers on either or to be able to do it. So if it comes down to it, Peter, where are you leaning? Which device do you like better?
It's so difficult. I like the Kindle in every single possible way compared to the Barnes & Noble because, like you said, we live in Canada. It's just a better overall device. It's more functionable, but it's $300 US, which that for the absolute base model. This can be upwards of almost $500 Canadian after you get the 3G no special offers variant. So it's just absolutely too expensive for an e-reader, I think. But on the downside, this lacks a lot of functionality, not only software but hardware. So I'm at a kind of a stalemate.
Yeah, waterproof is a compelling value proposition.
I suppose, yeah.
And it is cheap as hell.
It is, yep. Right.
So hopefully we have, in our comparison here, giving you a chance to be able to make an informed decision